Hello to everyone and welcome to the YouTube channel School for All. So this is tutorial number 17 of our C programming training. Now, in this tutorial, I want us to solve another problem concerning C programming. And the knowledge we'll be using to solve this question is based on all what we did so far. Nice. So this is the question here. And this is a standard question here. Take note of this. Very, very important. A sample question. Let me say it like that. Now, this is what the question is saying. They say, write a C program for a small calculator with a menu. And the idea of this tutorial is to show you people how we are doing this thing of menu. A menu is just a list where a user can choose an option to produce to perform an action. Let me say it like that. And the action here are based on the different options you have in your menu. Now, so let me read it back. Write a C program for a small calculator with a menu containing the following operation. So this is your menu here. So your menu should have option 1, which is addition, subtraction, option 2, subtraction, option 3, multiplication, option 4, division. Now we continue to say, when the user chooses any option from the menu, the program should prompt, or let me just say ask. The program should ask the user to enter two numbers and then perform the selected arithmetic operation, displaying the result. So this is what the program is supposed to do. Very clear. Now there's an NB. They say do not use loops. Now, here this NB is very important because after this tutorial, the next video we are starting loops together. And after we'll be doing loops, meaning we are going to study how for loop works, how while loop works, and do while loop. And after doing that, we are going to solve a similar problem. So you'll be seeing how loop can help us to optimize such a program. So we are starting with the knowledge we have. Then we will cover something new under loops. After loops, now we come back again to this question. We optimize it to produce something better. So just to tell you that programming is very, very flexible. When it asks you to write a program without any restriction, you are free to do anything because there are more than 100 methods to write a same program. Take note of things like that. So as usual, remember that I'm showing you how to think when you're answering a question. And for this question, I want us to go gradually. Because me too, I will be reading the question. What is passing in my head is what I'm doing. So this is the program of the last tutorial. So the last tutorial, we did also another practical session based on the different knowledge we have so far. Now, let me clean this and leave the basic program. So if you are discovering this channel through this video, please make sure you watch the previous tutorial. It's going to help you because my aim is to produce a complete training on C programming because I know exactly the type of thing waiting you in the exam. So my aim is to produce something very, very nice for you people. Now, so yeah, the first thing is let me display my menu first. This is the first thing I want to do because the program is supposed to have a menu. So this is the first information that I'm having in my head and it's very clear. So let us start there. So generally, you would like to think too far when you're writing programs. Start small. Okay, this is how we do menu. Menu, you just write printf. Now, enter your printf here. Option 1, like this, you write addition. /n, so that the next will go to the next line. Option 2. So generally what happens is you can just copy like this, you paste on that to gain in time. Option 2 is what? Subtraction. And it's all. You are done with the menu. You test your program. So make sure you save it. Remember the star beside this name. It's so that here I'm using my previous file. So in your own case, you come here, file, new, you create a new source file. You click on file, new source file. You have a new file. You write your code. After when you create a new file, remember the good manner. You come to save as. You give a name to your file and so on. So I'm just doing Ctrl S because I've created my file already. Now, here you execute this program. So if I come here, I'm having this compile and run. Nice. Are you seeing my menu? Very, very clean. Now, you can make it more beautiful than this. You can maybe come here and you do something like this. Printf. And you do something, I don't know. You do something like this. You write here simple calculator. something like this. Now here you can decide to leave small space here so that this should be centered in the middle like this. This is just to make my menu beautiful. I think what's the problem here? Oh, semicolon here. There's a semicolon missing after this. Now, generally for errors, let me just show you something. You see, when I run this, I'm having an error here, you see. So you realize that the red line is appearing at line 6. But when you look line 6, there's no problem. And it's exactly what I was telling you the last time. Now, generally, when you have an error, or when you have this red line on a particular line, it does not mean that the error is on that line. No, either it's above or it's below. It's always like that. Good. Now, or it's the line exactly. So it depends. So that's why when you see this red line, always check up, down, and you check that same line also to see if you can identify the mistake. Now, but normally there's a menu at the bottom here. There's a small window. Let me say that there is a small window at the bottom here. My own is not showing. So how to have this? In fact, if your own is not showing like mine, you come to view. When you click on view, you click on floating report window. You click on that. This is the bar that appears here. Now you make sure that you place your cursor. You put the pointer of your cursor here, having this symbol, this white two arrow on two direction. You click, you drag like this. You see now. You can even move this, you position it somewhere. Now, if you see the error is clear now. You can read this, say expected semicolon before printf. So they are telling you exactly. Meaning when they say before printf, they are talking about this. When they say before printf, they are talking about this highlighted printf in red here. And before is what? Before here means above, right? Good. So the below now means under. So I just come here, I do this. Good. So there are different ways to identify mistakes in your program. So never fear mistakes. Now, you execute your code. Okay, my menu look nice. Yeah. Not really nice. Addition is somewhere up here. It's because I'm missing a /n at the end of this thing. I put /n there. Good. Yeah. Normally it should look okay. For me it's nice like this. So if you want to modify yours, it's your problem. Cal this L here. Okay, so I'm done with the menu. Now you ask yourself, after having the menu, what's the next thing to do? The next thing is clear. After this menu appears, the user is expecting what? The user is expecting another message asking him to choose an option. Good. And if the user is expecting a message asking him to choose an option, it simply means what? That we need a variable where we can take the option of the user. Meaning what? The user is going to read something like choose an option. When he's seeing that message, normally he's supposed to press maybe 1 or 2 on the keyboard, or 3 maybe for multiplication, or 4 maybe. So when he's pressing any of these values to choose an option, we must store that value in a variable, so that we are going to use that value after to perform one of the operations. So if the user has pressed maybe 1, this one must be in a variable, so that I will use that value 1 to make this addition, to write a program for addition, and so on and so forth. So how to do so? Let us do it together. So the first thing I'm going to say print. So I'm just jumping this line to make my code beautiful. Don't forget that. So here I will come and say just write anything here. I don't know. Let me just write something like choose an option /n. Okay. Now the next thing here, you need a variable for the option. So I come here, and the variable for the option is what? Either the user will press 1, 2, 3, or 4 for any of these operations. If here you are having but A, B, C, G, in that case, make sure that the variable that must store the selected option should be what? A char like this, because the option here you'll be having but what? This is what I'm saying. Imagine that here you are putting but A. Here you put B, C, J, and so on and so forth. If you are doing something like this, simply means that if the user wants to choose an operation addition, he's supposed to press but what? A, and A is a character. So in this case, you cannot use a variable of type integer to store that. So but here, since here I'm using but integer as option, that is why here I will declare a variable of type in. That variable I'm going to call it choice. Generally we like to call it like that, choice. But it's not obligatory. So I'm going to move here, now use my scanf. I say scanf %g, comma, is an integer, so beside the address, remember that here is scanf, you write what? Choice. Okay, so here we are clear with this one. So this is the message asking the user to choose an option. Now, what did the question say? Let me just come back to the question. The question said when the user chooses any option, when the user chooses any option from the menu, the program should ask the user to enter 2 numbers and perform the selected arithmetic operation. It's very clear. So you are seeing that after doing this choice, normally the next thing that the question must ask you is what? Enter 2 numbers. Now, to collect 2 numbers from the user, it simply means what? That you need to have what? 2 variables. You need to have 2 variables. Now, for this question, they do not precise if the numbers are integer, they are decimal number, and so on. So to make the code easy, let me just assume they are integer. So let me just declare it here. So I'm going to declare something like num1 for the first number, another variable num2 for the second number. So how we are seeing how I'm declaring my variable as I'm moving in such a way that I know exactly what I'm doing. Good. So I move here. Here I'm going to say print f. I will collect both number at once. Print f. Here I will say something like enter 2 numbers. Okay, /n. Now here you use your scan f to collect the 2 numbers. So you write here percentage G. Remember, when you are collecting multiple variables, the format specifier, you don't give space in between them nor comma. Good, you just mention them. So since you are collecting 2 inputs, so I'm just writing this twice. So here now you make reference to each of them by giving the address. So the first address is for num1, meaning that first percentage G is for this num1 here, the first percentage G. The second percentage G is for the address of num2. You write the address of num2. Good. So this all, and we are done. Now to be sure that there's no mistake, just try to run it. When I run my code, it's working perfectly. They are asking an option. I can press an option here. They are asking 2 numbers. I can press maybe 3, enter 4, and the program stops because this is all what we are doing for now. So my program is working perfectly. Now, so this bar is disturbing me. Let me just close it here first. But if I need the bar, I know exactly where to find it. Okay. Yeah, when I close the bar, it's even staying there by default now. So it's nice. Normally the bar is supposed to be there by default. It's very, very interesting. So now we are done with the option. So we are taking the option from the user. We are taking the 2 numbers. The next thing here, we are going to use what we call a switch case. So please never forget this. The switch case is always the best selection control structure that we are using each time we are working with a menu. Always and always. Why? The reason is clear. It's true that you can still use multiple if else, but the best option, I repeat again, is the switch case. In such a way that when the user is entering a choice, this choice is the variable that you put inside your switch, and you'll be comparing that choice with what? With either 1, with either 2, with either 3, either 4. I hope you are getting the point. Meaning here we are using switch case because we are always comparing equality. If the user is entering 1, we are comparing if 1 is equal to the first one here for addition, and in that case we are doing addition for case 1, and so on and so forth. So here I'm going to say switch. Let me just do it here. Switch. Now here, which variable are you using? Choice, because this is where we are storing the option of the user. Now you put your 2 dot. The first case you write case what? The first case in your menu is what? Is if the user enter 1. So it means that here you put what case? The value is what? You are comparing if the choice equals to 1. Now if the choice is equals to 1, what are you doing? Normally here you're supposed to do what? Addition. And remember that you have collected 2 numbers already from the user. So here you can just do your addition by doing num1 plus num2. There's no problem. Now, but you realize something here. I need a variable to store the result. It's true that I can perform this addition without storing its result in a variable, but good manners of programming play. You need to always have your good manners of writing your program. Writing a program, normally each person is having his own style, his own way of doing things. So this is what will really make you to be good in what you are doing and have confidence in what you are doing. And since the beginning of this training, I'm telling people that when you are doing an operation, that result, store it in a variable first, then you manipulate that variable after. So it simply means what? That here, let me come here, or let me just go to the next line. It's already long there. Let me just declare something, a variable here called sum. Let me declare a variable here called mul for the result of multiplication. Let me declare a variable here called gif for the result of division. And let me declare a variable again called what? Add for the result of, no, I've declared sum already. This what? Subtraction, right? Let me declare a variable called sub. Good. Now here they are all integers because I know the result. But for GIF, normally GIF here, division, I will declare it as a float. I will declare it as a float because even if you are declaring 2 integer, your result can be a float. Like 5 divided by 2, normally the result is 2.5. So for GIF, declare it as float. But the rest now, if you have 2 integers, you are doing the sum, you are doing the multiplication or the subtraction, you must have an integer. So remember that integers are all positive or negative numbers, including 0. Nice. So case 1, what are we doing? The next thing, because another student will ask, so why is it that you are not declaring the variable to store the result directly in the case? This is a mistake, and this is another thing that when you don't have experience, you'll be doing this type of mistake. In C programming, we don't declare variable in cases. So when you're using switch case, in each case, don't declare. Mean that what they are doing inside the case is just the operation you need for your program. Apart from that, don't go and declare a variable there. You may have what? Mistakes. Good. And it depends on the software you're using also. I think either CodeBlock or DevC++, one of these two software, when you're declaring directly inside the case, it's not going to work. And these are the type of thing that you will never know that the problem is that declaration. So take note of things. I'm already telling you. So don't be having that in mind. Don't be having that in mind to declare something in case. Now I've declared my variable. So yeah, I'm just going to say sum is equals to what? num1 plus num2. This addition is all. Now I'm displaying because the question said that we carry out the operation and we display it. So here you write something like printf. Now, how to display it? The question did not precise anything, so you are the one to choose. But I want to display something in this format. Let me just show it here. I want to display something in this format. Let me just write it somewhere beside addition. I want to display something like this. Imagine that the user enter the first number should be 4 and the second number should be 5, and he's doing addition. I want to display something like this. This is what I want to display. That the first number entered by the user should appear, the second number entered should appear, and after that I see equals, so I see the result. You see now, and if the user has chosen addition, I want to see plus here between his number. If the user has chosen maybe subtraction, I want to see minus in between his numbers, and so on. So this is the style I want. Another person can decide that he don't want this style. Maybe the person wants to see something, I don't know, like sum equals, so the answer directly. For subtraction, you want to see something like subtraction equals to. So what you are thinking, because the question did not precise the way you are displaying. They don't say displaying the result here. You see, they did not precise anything. So you are choosing how to display. And you as a programmer, you need to have different. In fact, you need to have different technique of displaying your output. So yeah, how to display in that format is very clear. The first number from the user is coming from the memory because that first number is stored in what? In num1. So it simply means that here you are putting what? Format specifier. So I hope you remember very well how to display the content from the memory. Now, plus is not coming from the memory. That's why I'm writing plus manually. The next number that I'm expecting here is num2 coming from the memory because it is stored in the variable what? Num2. So you write also percentage G. Now after the next thing you're expecting is what? Is equals to. It's not coming from the memory. That's why you're writing equals to manually. But after equals to, what you are expecting here is what? The answer, and that answer is coming from the memory, from the variable what? Sum. It simply means that here also you are putting what? Percentage G. After doing that, you go out, you write your comma. Now after doing that, let me just put a /n here to avoid to make my display to be nice. Now you put comma. Now you make reference to each variable. The first percentage G is for the variable what? It's for the variable num1, comma. This second percentage G here after the plus is for what? For the variable num2. Good. Make sure you follow this order, comma, and the third percentage here is what? Is for the third percentage here is for the variable what? Sum, meaning that result. So this is exactly how you do so. You end with your semicolon. Good. Now if you come and make a mistake by writing maybe here sum first before writing num1, num2, the program will work normally, but you have something funny. Something funny in the sense that the answer will appear but here in this first percentage. So you have your answer plus num1 equals to num1. So you'll be seeing the thing very, very funny. So please take note of things like that. There's nothing difficult here. All what I'm trying to tell you is that when you're doing something, know what you are doing. That's why I'm trying to explain this very easily like that. But if you're not understanding, I repeat again, you will see my contact in the description of the video. You can still text me there. Good. And the advantage when you join the School for All community. When you join the School for All community, you have a possibility to have a mentor that can follow all what you are doing. So any problem you'll be having when you are working, there's a teacher to guide you there. So don't forget to download the mobile app on Play Store or App Store. So the name is School for All app. or you just type school for all and you see the app. Now, but my contact is in the description of this tutorial, so take note. So I'm done with case 1. Remember that when you finish with a case, what happened? You write what? Break. Good. Now you go to case. The next case here is what? What is the value? Is case 2 because I'm having 2 here. So just write case 2. Good. Now, so what happened in case 2? Case 2 here, I'm doing subtraction. So good. And when you are working in each cases, make sure you observe your menu. Your 2 is subtraction, so don't go and do division in case 2. No, you are doing subtraction because this is what is inside your menu. If your own menu is having multiplication at case 2, it simply means in case 2 you are doing but multiplication. Take note of things like that. So I'm not creating anything. I'm just doing what is normal. So num1 minus what? Minus num 2. Good. The display now, for the display, let me just copy this line. I don't want to waste time. I copy this line. I paste it here, but here I'm supposed to put what? Minus, and here I'm supposed to put what? Sub, like this. Perfect. Now after doing this, you write your break. Okay, semicolon. You go to the next case. Case what? Case 3. Now case 3, what am I doing in case 3? Case 3, I'm doing multiplication, I think. So here mul equals to num 1. Now multiplication here is this star, not x like this. No, it's this star here, this multiplication. Num 2. Good. Now you display again this. Here I'm going to remove this. I put now for multiplication, if you want, you put x here because people are used with x. But just know that this x is just something that is being displayed. It's not as if here we are doing an operation. Good. Remember that anything that you are writing inside double quote of a printf will be displayed. It's always like that. Now, here you are putting but what? Mul. Good. So make sure you use the variable that you declare up. Don't go and use something that is not existing. Now, the last case is what? Case 4. Before that, break. I've explained the use of break in previous tutorial. I've explained that in tutorial number 14, where we are really starting with switch case. So I'm assuming that here everything is okay. People master it very well. So case 4 here is what? Case 4, I'm doing division. But now for division, there's a problem with division because someone will come and do this. Div equals to num1 divided by division is this slash here. Now num1 or num2. Now there's a problem because imagine that num2 is what? Is 0. Normally we know that a division by 0 is not possible. So this is what we call what? A semantic error. And generally, to avoid semantic error in your program, you need to handle that. In fact, you need to handle that. Now, so what happened in this case, and this type of semantic error, because we have different type of semantic error. There are semantic error that can make your program not to compile even, and there are some semantic error that your program compile normally, but at the end, by the moment he's executing this line, if the denominator is 0, the code freezes directly. You see, the code starts bugging, let me say it like that. So you just stop like that, you don't know what is happening. Good. So this is semantic error. Semantic errors, in fact, is when you're writing an instruction that have no meaning. You see, this instruction you have, if the user enter num2 as 0 and num1 as 4, you have 4 divided by 0, and this instruction is not making sense. So the aim of semantic is to check the meaning of the instruction. This is the whole of semantics here. But concerning the syntax are just the rule or the grammar of a programming language, and this syntax here is correct. Correct in the sense that normally this is how we are doing division. So this syntax is correct. And at the end of instruction, we are putting semicolon. So the syntax is correct. Now, so yeah, this is what we are going to do. The aim here now is to use an if-else statement to check if the denominator is equal to 0. So we are going to write something very easy. Just look. I will say if num2, I'm using num2 because another num2 is my denominator. And remember, comparison in the if statement is double equals, not a single equals. So this is not the first time we are doing that. If num2 is equal to 0, what happens here? I want to display a message, printf. Exactly what your calculator is doing. Generally, your calculator display what? Math error. Let me just display something similar. Okay, math error. Let me just display something like this. Now, else, you come here. Remember that when you are using your if-else statement, the if part is a block of code, the else part is another block. That's why you are seeing I open a brace here, I close here before writing what is inside. I mean, that is the true statement. Then when you write your else, you open again and you close like this. You write in between because the else part is another block. So this is a good manner. Now, there are situations where we don't need to precise what the opening brace and the closing brace. And I told you that this situation is only when under your if condition, you just have one instruction, like this case here. You see that here, we just have one instruction. So I can decide to remove this and remove this like this. It's still going to work without any problem. So I'm just saying this because some students generally they're using AI to obtain their program, but at the end they are not even understanding what the AI is giving to you. So if you one day you're using AI and you have something like this, just know that it's correct. And it's only correct because in the if statement here you are having how many instructions under? Just one. But by the moment you have more than one, meaning I have another instruction here, it's no more possible. In that case, it's obligatory now to what? To precise this brace. Take note of things like that. But now for good manners, I'm always putting this so that students should not forget that it is very important when they are working with what? If condition. Good. So I like to give the different options so that the day you see something else at least. Now, what am I doing here? Okay. Now for the else, what are we doing for the else? Look at something. The else here simply means that num2 is not equal to 0. So the denominator is not equal to 0. And if the denominator is not equal to 0, what are you doing there? There you are not doing your normal division, right? G equals to num1 on num2. Here we are sure that there is no error. So the aim of this if part was to handle the case where num2 is what? When num3 is equal to 0, so that we display math error. Else, if num3 is not equal to 0, it means that either num3 is a positive or a negative number, and in that case, a division have no problem. Nice, but there is another problem with division. Look at something, and it's exactly what I was explaining in the previous tutorial. Here you have GIF, a variable that we declare as float, meaning that it's able to store decimal number. Now, but here num1 is integer and num3 is integer. And remember that division of two integer number can only produce what? Can only produce an integer number. Meaning that if you are doing num1 is 5, num2 is 2, 5 divided by 2, you will not have 2.5. It's only 2 that will be stored in GIF. But since GIF is a float, you obtain something like 2.0000. So he's displaying your answer as a float by adding .0. Or normally you're supposed to add by the .5. You see the mistake. So generally to solve this problem, we are going to do what we call casting. Because I told you that normally when you are doing division of two numbers, for you to have a decimal number as a result, make sure that one of these numbers are float. Either the numerator is a float or the denominator is a float. So let me just transform the numerator to be float. How to transform it? Generally we transform it just by putting a bracket beside a variable and you write the keyword float inside. Like this is all. Now it simply means when I'm doing something like this, simply means so that if num1 for the user is maybe 5, the program will consider it as 5.0. You see, the program will consider it as a decimal number. Now num2, I don't need to cast num2 because by the moment one of them is a float, it's okay. The decimal number will be stored. I mean, if here now I'm having 2.5 as a result, GIF will store exactly that 2.5. Take note of things like that. So another student can decide to cast by num2. So you cast what you want is your problem. So you are done here. Here I'm going to do what? Break. Break. What am I doing? Nice. Now we are done with the different option. And what happens generally when you are done with the different option, the last option here is what we call what? Default. So I think you remember this very well on that switch case. Now default. What happened in default? Generally I told you that default is just a message that you are displaying in case the user is entering a number out of this range here. Meaning, imagine the user enters something like 5. 5 is not case 1, is not case 2, is not case 3, is not case 4. So in that case, what are you supposed to display? You need to display a message. So let me just write a printf here. I'm going to display something like invalid option. Now we can modify this program in such a way that we can, I don't know, when the user enter an invalid option, a message display by saying that enter another option in the range. Now we precise the range, you see. So these are all the different type of things we can handle. But for now, I want to make the code very, very easy. That's why for the default, meaning if you enter something out of my menu, I will just display a simple message, invalid option, and end like this. But we can handle this in different ways. Take note of things like that. That's why I'm saying that programming is very flexible, and we will do so when you are going to work under how we call it, under loops. Yes, under loops we are going to do things because it's only with loops that we can really manipulate things like asking back the user to enter a value for the second time and so on and so forth. Now I did a small mistake. Yeah, after this switch choice, remember the syntax. Normally here is what? Is brace open, you come and close the brace here at the end. Good. So take note of things like that. So it's closed, okay, open, fine. So the program is supposed to work perfectly. we are done. Let us execute this program. If I click here, Control S first, save your program. In fact, generally this software, they save program automatically, so you don't even need to do Control S. So this is what is nice. When I say they save automatically, it simply means what? When you write your code without doing Control S, without saving, when you click on compile and run, it's going to save automatically for you. Wow, you are seeing that the program is working directly at once. Nice. Let us try to see it. Now, if I take option 1, is addition, right? It means that if I enter something like 5 for my first number and 6 for my second number, I'm expecting what? 5 plus 6 equals to 11. Perfect. Very nice. Very, very nice. I close this. Let us run it again and take now division. Division, if I enter something like, division is option what? 4. Okay, I've choose 4. Now enter 2 number. If I enter maybe 5, I enter maybe 5 again. Now, here there's nothing. I know why. We did not display the result of the division. Yeah, when you are doing div, normally you're supposed to display the result. So let me just copy this and display the result. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm expecting what? I'm expecting num1 divided. The symbol of division that you know in math is not here. Meaning that symbol where you have a dot, a slash, and a dot under is not here. So yeah, let me just use this symbol. I don't have choice. Now the next thing is what? Yeah, I'm going to put the div. Now, but yeah, there's something you need to take into consideration. Div here is float, not integer. So after equals, you cannot write again percentage G here. Here you must write percentage F like this. Good. And I want my result to be in 2 decimal places. So here I'm going to put in between percentage and F. I'm going to put dot. After the dot, you precise the number of decimal places. So I need 2. I put, if you need 3, you replace 2 by 3. It's all good. If you don't do like that, by default is printing a number to 6 decimal places. By default, I think 6 or 5, something like that. Yeah. Now, so you can just test it. Just remove this and you try to execute. You see the number of decimal places. Either you see 6 or 5. Now, okay, everything is perfect. We run it back. Let me try to choose 4. I enter maybe 5. I enter maybe 2. I'm expecting 2.5. Very nice. 2.50. Yeah, since we are displaying to 2 decimal places, you can still go there. You put dot 1. You display it to 1 decimal place. Nice. Now let us test subtraction. Subtraction is option what? Option 2. Okay, if I enter something like 5 and maybe 3, 5 minus 3, 2. Perfect. The last option. You realize something. Each time I need another option, I'm supposed to close the program, execute back. Yes, you realize something like that. Now, let me just finish this first. If I enter 4 and maybe 3, 4 times 3 is 12. Now everything is working perfectly. Now take note of something. So after studying loops like while loop, do while loop, and so on and so forth, we are going to carry out another exercise. Very interesting. That exercise is modification of this program in such a way that when the user is done maybe with an operation, a message will appear asking the user, do you want to choose another operation? If you say yes, the menu appears back and you have the possibility to choose again another operation, and so on and so forth. Because here you realize that after I'm done with one operation, I'm supposed to close re-execute to choose another operation. Or I don't want something like this. I want something that when I'm done, a message appears asking if I want to continue or not. If I say yes, I want to continue, it display back the menu for me to choose another option, and so on and so forth. So you're seeing that it's very, very interesting. So we are going to see how to do so, but for us to do something like that, we need to study what? Loops. I told you at the beginning of this training that we are following a very nice path. So follow from start. We are not jumping steps here. No, we are following from the start. So thank you. I think we are done with this tutorial. The note is available on School for All application. If you have enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a comment. Very, very important. And see you in the next tutorial.